Hey guys, welcome to another Design Clips with Wplus9. This is Dawn, and today's card is going to feature our Heartfelt Holiday stamp set. This is an oldie but goodie. We released it in 2013, but it remains one of my favorite stamp sets to date. So the technique we're going to use today is pairing the pure color dye inks with your Copic markers. This is a great technique if you're not great at coloring or you don't have many Copic markers. It's a wonderful way to get down your base color and then use your Copic markers to add a little depth and shading. So like I mentioned, we'll be using the Heartfelt Holiday stamp set, and we'll be using several pure color dye inks. Now these dye inks work beautifully with Copics, and I will show you what I mean. Now I've done a couple other videos on this technique before, but it's been a while, and I always love to revisit old techniques because you can always find new ways to revamp them and make them new again. So for this one, I'm starting with the snowman image in this set, and I'm stamping him with our Fairy Dust dye ink. This is a really light neutral gray color, and it's one of my favorite staple colors. I say that a lot, don't I? Everything is my favorite. Well, I guess since I pick out these colors, then they are my favorites. I can say that and be genuine about it. So I'm going to start by just laying down the color using the stamp. Now, again, this is great because you don't have to draw anything. You don't really have to color in the base of the image. The ink is going to lay down that base color. And these are going to look like they're stamping splotchy at first, but don't worry, as our ink dries and cures, it evens out and it will be a nice, smooth, even finish. Trust me, you'll see here at the end. Now, for the trees, I'm adding them in our Mojito ink. And then I'm going to come in and fill in with our little mugs. And for that, I'm using our Lake House dye ink. And I'm using the rule of 3 here, so I'm stamping in threes and in a triangle formation. And I want to usually end up with an odd number of each thing. Now I need to add the little scarf to our snowman, and for that I'm going to use our Gala Red ink. And there's a little open area here. You can see I'm lining it up and just stamp that right into place. And then finally I'm going to come in and fill in any gaps with the stocking that's included in the set. And for that I'm using our Miami Spice ink. And I'm almost done with the stamping. Now I just want to come in and fill in any gaps with the sentiments from our Woodland Wreath stamp set, and it says peace, love, and joy. I just want a nice simple all over background pattern that I can then just write a message on the inside of the card. So here I'm double mounting my stamps. I put one on one side of the block and one on the other, and this is just so that I can flip back and forth. And I'm adding these in our Gala Red just so that we're repeating one of the colors that are already in the background. And you could leave it just like this, but now let's add some shading with our Copics because that's just going to make these images pop off of the paper. And you can be as light-handed or heavy-handed with these shadows as you want to be. I tend to like to stay on the lighter side and then just deepen it up in a few areas. So for our Fairy Dust, I'm going to be using N0 and N1, and that's as far as I'm going to go with my shading. I'm going to hit everywhere where a shadow would naturally fall if the light was coming, let's say, from the upper right of the image. I'm not being too precise on this. Again, I just want to make these look three-dimensional, not photorealistic, more on the, I don't know, maybe cartoonish side. So the thing that makes these inks different than other dye inks is the way that they react to the Copic marker. For instance, if I were to put a lighter Copic marker on top of a darker ink color, it would bleach that area or push that color out of the way the same way it would when you layer a lighter Copic marker over a darker Copic marker. The blender pen also reacts the same way with our dye inks as it does with your Copic. So if I wanted to lighten up an area, I can use the 0 blender pen on the pure color dye ink, and it will pull or push that color out of the way and lighten that area. Very similarly to the way it reacts with its other Copic markers. Now you can also do this with the Hero Arts shadow inks and the Simon Says Stamp dye inks. But as far as I have found, those are the only inks that this will work with. Now I've done the N0, and now I'm going to come in and add a little bit darker shadow. So for that I'm just going to use the N1. And then once I add these darker areas again, I'm going to come back in with the N0 and soften them out. And they're going to blend pretty seamlessly with that Fairy Dust ink that's already been laid down. And you can already see how this image is just really starting to pop, and I'm having to do minimal coloring to it. So again, this is a great way for you to stretch your Copic collection. So if you don't have a ton of different colors, or if you know the refills, I buy markers all the time and forget to buy the refills at the time. I've now just recently gotten into the habit, when I buy a new Copic marker, I go ahead and I buy the refill at the same time, because nothing worse than being stuck with a dry marker. But with this technique, I don't have to have all of my markers super juicy, because I'll just cheat. Stamp out my image and then just add the detail or the shading with my Copic marker. Now here I'm going to use the exact same method that you would when you're just regularly coloring with your Copics, just flicking that lighter color over that darker color to blend it in with the original. And here's a perfect example of how the Copics work with the dye ink. So if you notice here, I started with R20 and it's actually starting to lighten that original color. And so I moved to R22. R22 is slightly darker, so this is going to work perfect. So I will just darken up that underside of the scarf. And then around the edges, so it looks like it's coming around the snowman's neck, and then right where that one end crosses over, just create a little edge there to give it a little dimension. And then I'll come in with R24 and add just one step deeper in shadow. And that's as far as I'm going to go with creating shadow on these images. And for the mug, I'm going to start with B00, and that's going to give me it's going to give me a good depth. It's a little bit darker than the lake house. However, it's a little bright. So once I'm done with adding the B00, I'm going to deepen it up just a bit, or neutralize the brightness on that B00 by adding a little N0 over top of it. So it's going to keep it about the same darkness, maybe just a little bit deeper, but it's really going to neutralize the brightness of that blue. And I'm just going to repeat the same thing for the rest of the images. Next, I'll move on to the tree, and for that I'll use YG61, and I believe I used YG63. Now, I don't have a chart with all of the Copic colors that match our pure color dye inks, and mainly it's because I kind of use a different one each time. Just like with Copic markers, how you can push a color more toward a warmer or a cooler, you can do the same thing here. So if I wanted this to turn into more of a blue-green, I might use a BG instead of a YG. Here I wanted to push it more toward the yellow side, so I'm definitely using a YG. Because these blend together, your options are really limitless. So to make a chart and tell you guys this color goes with this and this color goes with that, it's very restrictive. So I would suggest that you guys make a chart yourself as well, and then test out the different colors that you have on hand that match our inks. The ones I'm suggesting in this video are definitely great starting points, but again, you're not limited to just these colors. And I'm just finishing up the stocking now, and for that I used YR02 and a W2. This one was a little harder to match. I did it previously and I found like the perfect combination, but this is where not being organized bit me in the butt, because I didn't write it down and I have no idea what it was. But I think that it still looks good, and I'm happy with how it turned out. So I just decided to let it go and let it be. Now, I love this technique, and I decided to make some matching tags. And for that, I used the companion dies for the set and our Timeless Tags 2 die. I just love the simplicity of it, and I think it would make a great gift set. So there you have a technique for cutting corners when it comes to coloring. It's definitely a shortcut, because let's face it, sometimes coloring with those Copics can take a while. And this works great with lots of different imagery, especially florals. I chose something other than florals this time though, because I have a fear that you guys are getting tired of me and the florals. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't want to miss future videos. I've also picked out a couple of other videos for you to enjoy. If you want to watch some die cut masking, click on the video in the upper left, and if you want to see how to stamp with your Gansai Tambi watercolors, go ahead and click in the upper right. Don't forget you can connect with us at our shop at Wplus9.com and on our blog at stampawaywithme.blogspot.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and Periscope. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye!